What's going on, y'all? This is Mike Brown, and I just wanted to say I hope you and all your loved ones are safe right now. Thank you guys for listening to the show and tuning into the show every week. I appreciate y'all so much for being on this journey with me. And also, if you like the show, please subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. And also, please leave a comment. Let other people know what you think. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is Mike Brown. This is the Art of Letting Go.
Yo, what up? This is Mike Brown, and this is the Art of Letting Go. Today, I have a special guest in the building, and you know what makes this episode even more special is because, you know, we have history, and our history goes back to Xavier, and you were my public speaking teacher, and I didn't fuck with public speaking at that time because I used to be nervous talking and sweating and just all kind of stuff. And now to fast forward to now having a podcast, like
incredible.
Yeah. So this is a product of your work. So I hope you appreciate it. I hope I'm serving justice to what you taught, man. I really do.
You just made that really deep, and I will take it because I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen that are not watching this, I do not look as old as that story probably creates. Let's be clear, all right? Please go Google me today, all right? But bro, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you and many of your colleagues, you know.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you guys are really amazing, and it inspires me. It inspires me.
We had amazing people like you guiding us, so I appreciate you as well. Can you let the people know who you are, though? Because you are more than a speech teacher.
Well, you know, I'll take it as I can get it. But my name is Berkley the Artist, and I'm a fine artist, which means that I am a lot of different styles of art, from writing to speaking to singing. I'm a singer and songwriter, actor, creator, teacher, servant. And I'm just present right now. And I'm grateful to be here with you and with your wonderful audience, because I love to talk about good things. And every experience we've ever had together, the vibe has been so positive.
Yes.
And I'm excited for it to continue to enhance in its positivity. So thank you for having me, bro.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you being on. Before we get started, I wanted to bring me, you, and the listeners all in the same space. So if we all can take 3 breaths together, you can keep your eyes open or you can close them, and I'll guide us through. So we're going to breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. I'm going to take one more breath in. And let it go.
Yes.
Man, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you for leading us.
Absolutely. Man, how are you doing today?
I am so awesome, bro. Today I decided, I do this sometimes, but I was diligent about it, to make a list of all of the things that I wanted to accomplish today. So I have a list about maybe 18 things on my bookshelf over there. And as I do them, I scratch them out. And it gives me this great sense of accomplishment and sequence. You know, I'm a Capricorn. Because I'm an artist, I'm open-minded and open-spirited, but my nature is methodology. Like, I like to know where something began. I don't have to know where it ends, but I need to be able to trace it back
Yeah.
to, I like patterns. I see them quickly. So this has been helpful for me because, as you know, bro, like, we're at home. It's really easy to get lost in procrastination.
Yeah.
Just as well as it's easy to jump back into the toxic workflow. So that balance, finding
Yeah.
that balance.
I appreciate you sharing that because in the beginning of this, school was out and I felt like, okay, I have all this time, so I just got to work, grind.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself just not feeling it, like I just didn't feel it because I wasn't in the mindset of me being in a pandemic with everybody else. I just saw myself as super creative, ready to just have all this time. And when I took a step back, I recognized like, oh, I'm going through this as well with everybody.
Wow. Yeah.
And in the beginning,
Man,
I felt a little worthless. I did because I wasn't doing nothing. So I was like, man, like what am I doing? But I've been
yeah.
finding that space to just be. How has it been for you though? And I ask that because, people may know, people may not know, but just from what I've seen that you do as far as like just with music and just the rise that you were creating, and now for things to just be completely shut down, like how has that been for you?
It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. I'm so happy, bro. I am so happy to have spent time unplugged, not only from the external current outside of my house and my mind, but I'm happy that I have been able to unplug from the internal current as well. The thoughts, the concerns, the all summed up as the ego. I'm so happy to have been placed in a situation to unplug from that.
Man.
So for me, this is wonderful. And I've made a lot of decisions about what I will not go back to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will always be a person that is going to speak and be able to talk to people or sing to people or perform and create. That's always going to be. But the way that it feeds me is now different.
Yeah.
It feeds me very differently. And I don't have a desire to chase a thing anymore. I have no desire.
You speaking to me right now.
I have no desire. So, and you're still in LA. So on top of, I keep laughing because I understand.
Yeah.
Because on top of just, quote, surviving in this time, you are also inside the matrix of Los Angeles. And the philosophy there is, if I can't sleep, I can't rest, I gotta work, I gotta create. It's something I could be doing. I don't want to be lazy. People are passing me up. Whether you subscribe to it or not, you're in it. I know because I was in it, and in many cases I did subscribe to it. But to be freed from that philosophy has made me look younger and has made me genuinely happier and have more, because I'm not focusing on what I don't have. So, I'm good. I'm great for where we are is where we're supposed to be. And I'm following God's leadership in my life. And I trust him with my life. And so everything is good. Everything is good for me.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because I was going to ask you, how does it feel being back in New Orleans as opposed to being LA? Because I'm sure like the pace and the energy just feels different. Because you hit it right on the head. Like LA is that gotta go. And New Orleans is very relaxed. So I guess you probably have
The
a hybrid
opposite.
of both. Like,
Yo, I'm floating. Okay.
yeah,
Like I am floating right in the middle of that.
yeah,
And it feels nice. When it was first put on my heart to come back to New Orleans, I just didn't really fight it. And
yeah,
I know that that's something that when you live in the entertainment industry or in LA, New York, Paris, wherever you may be, if you do that whole thing where you like move to the city of the dream and where the dreams are quote made and blah blah blah. Sometimes not sometimes, constantly ticking in your head is I can't go home.
whew,
Constantly. It's incessant. It's like I can't go home. If I go home, it means I'm a failure. So much so that when people leave the towns like that, people that you were close to and that you were friends with and you spend a lot of time with, they literally like delete you because one, they feel, I believe, afraid of the reality of, oh, I could go home too. And if they see that in their friend, they're like, whoa, I don't want that to happen to me. And two, there's that messaging that says, if you leave here, you gave up on your dream. If
man,
you there's that message that is there. And nobody wants to have to sing Midnight Train to Georgia. I mean, I remember when I first moved to LA, I would not listen to that song if it came on the radio because I was like, that ain't gonna be me. That ain't gonna be me. Oh, he's leaving. That wasn't I so much so that when it would come on, I would turn it off. If I were in the grocery store, I would think it was a sign, right?
man,
And recently, I was in the grocery store here and it started playing, and I started singing along because for the first time, I wasn't afraid to even hear that song
yeah,
because I did not feel like it applied to me. I did not feel like I lost anything or I failed. I feel like any primitive animal that knows when the watering hole has dried up, it's time to move to another location. There's like no announcement made. There's no press conference. The animals know, like, you know what? The rain is going to dry up here. We have to move to another place where there's water and where there's food for our survival. And the watering hole for me in Los Angeles had dried up. There
yeah,
was nothing more that I wanted or really needed for that time period. And I needed to come home. I needed to be in a space where I took off some of the dirt that I picked up.
yeah,
And I needed to place myself in the soil, that I grew up in so I can remember some things and deposit some things to the people here that gave me the opportunity to be great somewhere else. It came from the
man,
people here. So I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I mean,
yeah,
when the rains, decrease and it's time to move, you may see me back in LA. You may see me in San Francisco. You may see me in Milan. I don't know. I'm going with the movement of the spirit, and
man.
that's how that works for me. I understand it's not like that for everyone, but that's how it has worked for me.
How do you feel like you got to that point though? Like to be okay with, because I know we all live in that space. Like you said, like everything you saying is so spot on with like, I'm not going home. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. But how did you
Yeah,
become comfortable with knowing if I go home, that doesn't mean that's the end of the story?
I can only give it to you in honesty.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that. Um, when you accept that your life and your dreams and your desires and your skill and ability do not belong to you, when you have an understanding that your intellect and your potential, it does not belong to you. You didn't even give it to yourself. It was gifted to you. And that the owner of those gifts gave you those things to be used at the owner's desire and will. And because the owner is so wonderful and kind and patient, the owner even allows us to take some of our gifts and spend it in places that are not effective or fruitful at all because of the patience that the owner has for us. But I came to a place where I realized that the owner was saying to me, I need my gifts back because I need, and you are the person that holds them. There's a job to be done. Will you deny or will you reply with a yes? And I replied with a yes. I literally felt like God said to me, I've given you everything that you asked for, which is true. I came to Hollywood and I did very well. All right, it was really a wonderful ride. I really enjoyed it. And I moved, quote, up very quickly. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't out like trying to let me get in. It was like a wave. Like it just came under me and lifted me up. And I understand that was God's favor in my life. No matter what I was doing, because I wasn't like, I want to be clear about this. Like, I grew up in church. My father's a pastor. I'm a Christian, but I am not like a typical Christian type of person like that you would think. You probably will catch me doing a lot of things that everyday people do, which I think a Christian should be like an everyday person.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's just my opinion, and that's just my experience. So I don't want to paint the picture like I'm so in tune with God on this very religious thing. It's not even that. It's just my relationship is really intimate with God. So I can hear when God is whispering. And I think when your relationship is not so close, God sometimes has to scream and holler and slam doors to get your attention because you're not used to hearing that whisper because you're so far away outside of the relationship that you don't really hear the nuances that are nonverbals. Like I felt in my heart, there was this mood that kept coming back, this vibe that came over me that was like, I've given you everything that you've asked for. You asked that it would go this way. I've given it to you. You've asked, and now I need you to come and do something for me because it's a relationship. Like that's the thing. It's like your partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife. Like, yeah, if your husband, your wife is balling out of control and like they're the person that is like the financial resource in your relationship, they have like the surplus of money, then money for them is easy. So like you shouldn't have to struggle because it's easy for them and you're in a partnership. And whatever you need, it's like, here, take it, use the car. You don't have there's no minimum, blah, 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 do what you want to do. You benefit that. But then that same partner might have a deficiency in articulating feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But you have like this great ability to translate feelings and share them vulnerably and be transparent. And if they say to you in a whisper, like, I need your help, I need you to help me, then I just feel it's only fair that I just say, you know what? For 7 straight years, you have been holding me down.
Yeah.
Let me give you, and I heard specifically, I need you to come home and be a servant for a year.
Wow.
I need you to be a servant. Like, I don't need you to be popular and famous. That's going to happen because that's your personality. But I don't need you to go and seek after that.
Yeah.
I don't need you to like, I'm going to do that for you. Chill out on that. I need you to just like spend some time with me, serve other people, because your presence alone serves other people. It's not just, let me go feed the homeless. That could be
Right.
less effective. What might be more effective is that people in your family see you because you come to their house to say hi. And that one action makes them feel like they invested in you and you love them back. And they may have needed that one thing. So I had to take a break from my dream and fulfill my purpose.
Yeah.
And
That's
I'll
real.
t-
That's so
yeah.
real.
So it was not hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. I I prayed a very specific prayer. I have to say this because I want people to be helped.
Please do.
I
Yeah.
I said this, when I got the clarity that I was to come home, I said this prayer. I said, okay, God, that was my yes. Like my yes wasn't like, yes, like it wasn't all churchy, like, yes, God, hey, Shaka. It wasn't, I don't really have that. It's not really me. I was like, I said, okay, that was my answer, right? That was me. I was like, okay, 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 cool, cool. That's my yes. Here's something that I really need to do your will well. First of all, I need my transition from LA to New Orleans to be easy and seamless. Not just the logistics of the location, but just I need to move into a certain type of place that I want to live in. I need to financially I can't come to New Orleans and do less than what I did in LA. I want to be doing more. I want to make
Right.
more. I want to have more value. I want to have more earning potential. I want it to be seamless. And the second thing was I was like, you have to supply me with a tribe at home that I don't just get depressed because I miss the type of life, the type of friendships, the type of dynamic that I have in LA. Because I love living in LA. I'm not one of those people that became destitute and had to leave or anything. I was
Yeah.
one of those people that I was like, okay, it's time to go. Like we're in the fifth season of the Cosby Show. No need to go to the sixth. Let's end on top. You know what I'm saying? I was I was in that space. So when I tell you my transition was ridiculously easy, it's like I bat my eyes and I had a home. I bat my eyes and I was offered a professor position at Loyola University. I didn't even
Wow.
apply. I didn't even apply for the job. And the position that I teach in is a professor of popular and commercial music. So what I really teach is I just teach what I did in LA.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I literally talk about the vocal recording process and the trends in Beyonce's songs and the form and why Kanye West's album is on the top of the gospel charts and then why did it take so long for it to get up. I'm literally doing what I do
Yeah.
and they pay me. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, this is a working artist position. So when you need to go on tour, when you need to travel, just let us know and we'll get you subbed. Yeah, that's my job. That's my
Wow.
job. So I love it. And I work with these 18, 19, 21-year olds that are coming into the music industry and they're learning. And I'm like teaching them how to sing it and perform it and record it and write it. Um, so it's a blessing, dude. And my family and my friends here, I don't feel like I lost anything. I gained so much. I've been able to help and support. So when you get out your way,
Yeah.
just get out the way. Like throw your plans in the air. Throw your plans in the air and see what happens.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Man, and it's so crazy to hear you saying all that because like just being at home for me has been bringing up a lot. Being at home, like where I live in LA,
Yeah.
and is put me in the place where it's like it's time for me to live by myself and it's time for me to move out. And it's parts of me that have been afraid of that, but it's also parts of me that are like, no, just follow it and just trust it and just see
Yeah.
what happens. You're gonna land. You ain't failed yet.
Yeah.
So just keep going.
Let me ask you a question. So
Yes.
what are the benefits of you living alone?
Peace. Really
Mm,
just having my own peace. Like I have a way that I like to live in, just freedom. You know what I mean? Like I won't be in my space worried about if I'm being too loud or if I'm,
Yeah.
you know.
So, do you believe um, that the universe's desire for you is to be at your best?
Absolutely, I
All
do,
right.
and
So there you,
that's why the move is being made, because
yeah, that's it.
I know what it's gonna open up and free up. You know.
Yeah. And that's the thing to reflect on, bro.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's a scripture that I think about all the time, and it says, um, that's this man that walked now. I gotta go through it. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like the tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Now, what I say that all the time. My dad made us learn that one morning before we ate breakfast. I mean, I swear that that's some form of child abuse, but I'm glad that he did. Like, he's like, learn the scripture before you eat. But I'm so glad he did, because that has carried me. When you reflect on the law, in this case, the law of the universe, the spiritual laws, when you reflect, here's a spiritual law, planting and harvesting. That's a spiritual law. No human being can change that. If you
Yeah.
put a seed into the ground, the sun, the water, the dirt, it's going to make it grow. And not only will it grow one seed back, it grows back multiple seeds. Like, that's a universal law that none of us we cannot, we can't change it, right? When we reflect on those type of laws, like, for instance, the tide comes in, the tide goes out. We can't change that. When you reflect on those natural spiritual laws, then all of a sudden, everything that you do will prosper in your season, and nothing is going to wither about it. Nothing is going to decay about it. But if you are focused on the outcomes, then you will miss the natural progression of the spiritual law that you are a part of. You understand, like, wait a minute, I'm not just the observer. I am a participant. Just like you
Right.
mentioned at the beginning of this podcast about you feeling as an observer of the pandemic, and then realizing, wait a minute, I'm involved in this. It has an effect on me. I'm having an effect on something else symbiotically as well. So when we reflect, like, on the spiritual laws, I remember Lauryn Hill had that. Lauryn Hill said that in one of her songs. She says, now, why do you think you get applause to live above the spiritual laws? It's on one of those
Oh
songs. And
wow.
I remember thinking to myself, wow, it's called Superstar. She was like, nobody can live above the spiritual laws. Just because you get an applause, just because the world has claimed you to fame, to fortune, to beauty, to wisdom, no one can live above the spiritual laws. So I have been spending time reflecting on the spiritual laws. And as I
Man.
reflect on them, and that's for my people that may not feel like they want to hear anything about God. It's not even about that. It's about
Yeah.
the spiritual law at work. Whatever you call that, I call that God. You might call it the universe, you might call it love, you might call it light, you might call it high frequency, Buddha, whatever you call it. You and I both know we don't know what day we're going to die. That's a spiritual law. You didn't pick what day you wanted to be born. Your
Right.
parents couldn't even do that. If you reflect on the spiritual laws, everything you do, bro, is gonna prosper. Simple.
Yeah.
Simple.
That's deep, man. And it as you were talking and as you were speaking, like one thing that came up for me to ask you was like, what advice would you have for creatives out here in Los Angeles? Because I feel like just the wave and the level that you're thinking on, I think a lot of people are not creating in that space of purpose or moving in that space of purpose in the way that you are. So I would love to hear like just what advice you would give to somebody.
I would say this, which I say often. The reason why you are there is because you know that you will have something different. You never would have came if you didn't know you didn't have something different. You know you have something powerful. You know you have something that's beyond natural. And you not only know that you have it, you believe that you have it, that you can go against all the odds. You're willing to put your life, your family, everything on hold to gather that. Well, great. That's a great starting point. Here's what I want you to do, though. I want you to surrender that power, in energy, whatever you call it. Whatever it is that you have, I want you to surrender it back to the owner. Because see, if you're not willing to do that, then there's no point in even talking about what's after that.
Yeah.
And truthfully, not just there, everywhere, like in the world, because I know I have been this person, and I still have to work through my ignorance and my ego to get out of that space at times where it's like, wait a minute, let me surrender this back to the owner and get instructions on what to do next. Because see, the owner may say, you know what, after you surrender it, you know what, here, take it back. Do whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
Because the owner will then see, like, you will not misuse it. Because you thought, it's like having a genie in a bottle, and the genie comes out, it's like, what is your wish? Your wish is my command. And you say to the genie, well, what do you want? Genie mind gonna be like, you ain't never had a friend, never. Genie's gonna be like, yo, hold up, this one is different. And Genie may give you some wisdom or some insight because you were willing to not be selfish with that power and just go after what you think. Because even your own thought, like you can say, well, I want to be famous because I want to help everybody. Well, here's the thought. You may be more instrumental and effective in the world by being a teacher in the classroom.
Absolutely.
You might, so like, be honest. Be honest with what you ask, If you want, because I'm just honest, like, I'm like, you know what, Lord? I want to be rich. I want to be filthy rich because I want to experience what it is to be able to just have money and not have to wait on anybody. I want to know what it is to have that kind of power. I want to experience that. I believe that if you ask that with sincerity, you will get it. But I also believe that when you get it, either you will find a wisdom that says, I know how to use this effectively. And effectively doesn't mean make more, by the way.
Right.
Or you may find out, like, I don't really want this. I mean, we see this story time and time again from people that are famous and rich. And they get to a point and they're just like, ugh, how many more stories do you need to see?
Right.
Like, it's something else. So my question, answering your question, what would I tell a creative? You don't own your creativity. So why are you acting like you got to come up with the plan? You don't own this. You don't own this. Like that's the issue right there. You think you own it. And because the creator is so kind and loving and gracious, creator gonna let you feel like you own it until you learn the really valuable lesson that I gave it to you as a gift. as a gift, because I have so much of it. I was able to just give you some of it as a gift. I don't need you to go out and help the world. I made
Right.
the world. It's a gift. Enjoy
Absolutely.
it. Enjoy it.
That's so important. And like I said, I appreciate everything that you're sharing right now, because I did get to a point where I didn't enjoy creating, being out here in LA, just because it was becoming, I felt like I was chasing something as opposed to just really creating what I felt within my spirit. And going back to it, like everything you say, like it's so crazy to me, these episodes that I've been recording during the quarantine, because I feel so connected to everybody that I recorded with. And, I think what really brought me back to music was teaching, working with kids,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling the freedom that they felt, and just learning from them. And like now, I hadn't, to be honest with you, I hadn't been making beats in like the last year. I hadn't been writing in like the last year, hadn't been doing nothing. And during this quarantine, I got a little inspired. Like initially I was trying to force it. And I told myself, you know what? If you feel it, cool. If you don't, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last week, I started feeling it, started just making it for me, not for, oh, I got to put this out, or I just wanted to just see how I felt, because that's how I'm able to interpret my feelings through sound.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And now things are starting to come my way. People been asking me to write for things. People been asking me to make beats for this and do music for that. And it's like, wow, me giving up that pursuit and that chase has now brought it back to me.
There's so many contexts to look at that, because we've heard this in stories, in literature, in sacred texts, that when you give up that pursuit for the thing and you just take the journey, then you always arrive to the treasure. It's like it's the same story in so many different forms.
Yeah, I always tell people in LA, it seems like everybody's trying to go through this one door to make it.
Yeah.
And for me, I think I was trying to fit through that door. And once I walked away from the door, I started finding the tools to start building my own door.
Yeah.
And walking through that, building my own house.
Yeah. So isn't it interesting that, because you're talking about the most brilliant people in the world, like I feel like creatives are artisans are the most brilliant people in the world, because we can see what is not physically there.
Yeah, absolutely.
We naturally operate in faith. Like, like, okay, cool. I have this beat in my head. Like when you break that down, like you have a beat in your head. You have a beat in your head, and then you took it, you made it into a sound. It had a sequence, it had a vibe. Then you put it into some production format, and it came out on the other end as an actual product. What?
Yeah.
We're already on something. So for the most incredibly brilliant people in the world to all converge in one spot, there's a lot to break down here. It goes back to that watering hole thing.
Yeah.
The animals know where to go. There's no sign, there's no GPS, there's no Siri. They know where to go. So it's a reason. Okay, all of the artists keep converging in the same spot. Okay, something must be happening in this spot. All right, so that's the first thing. Something must be happening in this spot. There's some vortex, there's some magnetic pull, there's something, because everybody from around the entire globe keeps coming to this spot, to LA, to New York. No one is in Paris and saying, I want to take my music to the world and going to Italy. or Cape Town, they're coming to Los Angeles or they're coming to New York.
Yeah.
So these places obviously are attracting the most intelligent, faith-walking people on the planet. Right. So deal with that. Like, you could sit down on that for days. Now, here's the second thing. They all seem to lose themselves in order to get through the doors at these two places. You mean to tell me I was called from the outback in Australia as myself to this place, and in order to come through the door of this place, I have to lose elements of what I am. That's the next thing to consider. But then let's talk about the people that have made it in the door.
Yeah.
There seems to be people that have made it in the door that get all the way up this ladder, and then they decide they don't want to be a part of it anymore. We keep seeing this story over and over and over. And then they keep saying the same thing. I'll work there, but I don't want to live there. I'll come there. Like, I'm a Capricorn, so I look for patterns. I look for a sequence. And I'm like, wait a minute. And so now when I watch TV right here in my little New Orleans home, so different. You know, I'm the most dressed up person in many situations. In LA, you go to the grocery store, you got to look like somebody. I mean, I get it. I'm not mad at it. But people are just being people over here. Like, they're not even like impressed with your life because you're famous.
Yeah.
They're not. And I love that. They're not impressed with it. They're like, okay, can you cook red beans and rice? Like,
right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you listen, we have our amount of fuckery over here as well, but it's a different desire that they want from you. It's different. And so I look at TV now and I'm watching like the shows, the television shows. I'm watching like TMZ and Entertainment Tonight and all these things. And I know how everything works now because I was a part of this. Like, I know how it works. And I'm listening to Wendy Williams talk and all of these other people. And people around me are like, oh my God, did you hear they did this? And I'm sitting there like, this is a lie. This is a lie.
Yeah.
This is propaganda. But for people at home, for a lot of people, it's just a fantasy. They have no desire to go and chase it.
Yeah.
So for them, when they turn it off, it's off. But when you live in that fantasy, you were supposed to go there and be a spy. You became a citizen. And that's one of the things that I had to get my mind right. Like, wait a minute. This is not my home. I don't have citizenship here. It's not about LA. It's about that spirit that controls that space.
Yeah.
Because that's why people are flocking from all over the world, because it's a spiritual pull that's so powerful that it calls even the greatest faith walkers there. And let's talk about the percentage rate of people that have given up years of their family's lives, relationships with their parents, their children, their siblings, their churches, their synagogues, their mosques. They've given up so much to get this thing, and how many of them actually achieve it?
Man.
But how many of them die along the way? And how much has been broken because they, the light of their community, they, the fuel of their community, they, the fire of their community, left to go get doused. And then they come back jaded, beat down, and they have nothing left to give to the people and to the soil that raised them. I didn't want that for my life.
Yeah.
So I had to come back while I had a chance, while I still have the fire in me.
Yeah.
to make a difference. And when it's time for me to go and come back there to do whatever the next step is, or wherever I go, I'll do that. But I now no longer believe that being there will make anything different from being where I am, because
I agree with that for sure. I do. Cause I felt like that too moving here. And now that this year will make 10 years that I've been here.
mhm,
And I don't know if it's my final stopping place. Like, it definitely doesn't feel like I'll be here forever. But
mhm,
with what I'm doing right now, it does feel like the place that I need to be.
mhm.
And it's because
Yeah,
my journey has shifted. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't being on the radio, getting a Grammy, doing this. Now it's like, what am I doing in these schools? What am I doing in my community? What am I doing with my loved ones here? What am I doing?
yeah, yeah. I'm proud of you, man. I mean,
I appreciate
you're doing
that.
so awesome, bro. And keep my piece of the pie is one ingredient. It is very important, but it's very insignificant. I see myself as that. One particle can fly by a fire and do nothing. That same particle can fly by a fire and catch a flame and cause a forest to. So it my component that I bring to the table is minimal, and it's great. But I'm grateful to see some of the fruit
Yeah,
that I help in the process. I may not have planted the seed, I may have watered it or clipped it, pruned it, whatever the case is, but I see that you're proof of one of my fruits that has bloomed,
absolutely.
has done well, bro.
I
So
appreciate that. I really do.
yeah, man, keep going, keep growing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
That means a lot, man. Before we finish out though, I have one question
yeah.
that I ask all my guests, and I would like to know, what is one lesson or piece of advice that you gained on your journey that you can give to the listeners?
hmm Um, I would say if the opportunity is presented, if the opportunity is presented, you are ready. Not if you go seek the opportunity, but if the opportunity is put into your lap, into your hands, you are ready. You are ready. You're ready. So that's what I would say.
Man,
Yeah.
Berkley, where can the people find you?
Man, you can find me anywhere really. BerkleyTheArtist.com and Instagram, Berkley the Artist, Facebook, Berkley the Artist. And I have an album out right now. It's an EP. I hope that you'll listen to it. It's called Capricorn
Okay.
by Berkley the Artist. It's on Spotify, Tidal, all of those spots, iTunes, Amazon, Google Play. Um, Give it a listen. I give it a listen. I'm not gonna sell it. I'll just tell you, like, give it a listen. Give me 11 minutes.
I'm gonna tell you, I think just from everything that you shared here, I think you sold it to us already. I think we
Well,
sold on it already, for
I'm
real.
glad. I think it's gonna be good. Good for you. Good for the earth. Good for the world. So yeah.
That's what's up, man. Berkley, I thank you so much for coming through today.
Anytime, Mike. Anytime. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you so much.
Of course. Thank y'all for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Art of Letting Go. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to this podcast and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let other people know what you think as well. If you want to get in touch with us, hit us up on all social media at The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Also, you can send me an email, theartoflettinggopodcast@gmail.com, or give us a call. Leave a message. We might play it on the show. 213-394-2773. Also, if you would like to support The Art of Letting Go, we got some really cool merch, as well as we're now on Patreon. You can find us, The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Subscribe to us. Thank you guys for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go.